you so much for joining me to do some yoga today. We will be practicing today a little bit of a yin and yang practice. So we will be doing a little bit of fire first. We'll be doing our yang first, working into building heat in the muscle groups of our hips and our legs and our buttocks. And then the yin portion will come second, and we'll do some stretching into those areas of the body. So you'll get a little bit of fire, a little bit of chill. We will spend about half an hour on each section. That means that if you want to do just one part of it, you could do just the fiery part or just the quiet part. Works out great if you only have half an hour, or you can do the whole hour and get the best of both worlds. We're going to start off in a comfortable cross-legged seat, and as you find yourself coming there, no props are needed for the yin portion of the class, but if you like to use props, I love to use props. It just feels nice to have extra accessories and to accommodate what's happening in your body on any given day. You could use, at the end of the class, a blanket. You could use a pillow or a bolster. That one's especially optional. It would mostly just be for Shavasana or for propping yourself up. If you have yoga blocks, you can have them handy. And you can just kind of surround your mat with things that might help you in low lunges, cushioning your knees. And then I'll cue for these if you want to use them, but if you don't have them, that's totally fine as well. So you can, if you do have props, just set them aside and sit comfortably cross-legged. Of course, if you want to sit on one of your props cross-legged, you can do that as well. Bring your hands to rest, palm down on your legs. Take a deep breath in. And a big sigh out. As you inhale again, reach your arms up overhead. Take a look down, maybe notice which foot is in front. And then fold forward. And you might just come a few inches forward. That might be plenty. But you might be able to crawl your hands a little closer to the floor. And I always like to move a little bit side to side as I start to get into things. Just easing the body in, feeling a little bit what's happening in your hips and your lower back here. If you have a lot of flexibility, you can fold down further or reach your hands further out in front of you. And take another deep breath here. Go ahead and lift your forehead if you set it down. And walk your fingertips over towards the left side. Set your left hand down and reach your right arm up over your head, coming into a little side bend for the right side of your body. If you like, you can look up as you breathe in. As you breathe out, relax your shoulders. As you breathe in again, come all the way up. Bring both of your arms overhead. And as you breathe out, twist to your right. You can drop your right hand behind you and bring your left hand to your leg if you want. Relax your left hip towards the floor. As you inhale, come back to the center line. Switch the crossing of your feet as you exhale. Inhale, bring your arms overhead. And then exhale to fold forward again, just so we get equal work into both hips. It's a little different. Crossing the opposite foot in front, you might notice that one hip now feels quite a bit more action than the other. You can wiggle yourself kind of into it. And you just go as far forward as you need to go to feel the stretch. If back behind you is your tight area, your hips and your glutes, it might just be that placing your fingertips on the floor or even on a prop is plenty to feel your outer hips. When you're ready, you lift yourself up a little bit and you walk over to the right side, planting your right hand down in a comfortable position. Lift your left arm up overhead, find that side bend, just stretching out the left side of the torso. Maybe you like to look up a little bit. As you inhale, come to the center line, bring both arms up. And as you exhale, twist over to your left. Left hand can drop behind you, right arm to the leg somewhere. Relax your right hip, your right buttock towards the floor. So this is a kind of a gentle twist. Now that you kind of have an idea, inhaling back to center, of what your hips feel like, we'll start to move a little more dynamically. As you're ready, go ahead and set yourself up for a table pose. If you need a cushion underneath your knees, grab one. Hands under the shoulders and knees under the hips. Shrug your shoulders away from your ears as you soften your belly, inhaling to your cow pose. As you exhale, lift your belly, come to your cat pose. Inhale, cat. And exhale, cat. Try just one more of each. And then coming back to your neutral spine, shrug your shoulders away from your ears. Start to draw some circles with your hips. It doesn't matter which direction you go because we're just going to go a little bit in each direction. So whichever direction feels natural, start that way. The most natural point of the circle for you, switch and go the other way now. And finding your way back to neutral. Tuck your toes under, push back through the arches of your feet, spread your fingers wide, and lift yourself to downward facing dog. Take a moment to maybe pedal out your feet, or move your hips a little from right to left. Just feeling into your legs a little more now. Spending a few breaths here. This next one, you can stay in your downward facing dog, but it works equally well if you prefer to drop your knees to the floor for table, a little bit more stability, or if your wrists are troubling you. So pick the place that feels strong and stable, table, invert and ride, or downward facing dog. And then from there, lift your right leg to the sky as you inhale. As you exhale, bend your right knee and start to stack your right hip a little bit on top of your left hip. And then just imagine you're drawing big circles with your knee down towards your belly, and then out towards the right, and then up towards the ceiling. You do 3 big circles in that direction. And then when you're done, you do 3 big circles in the other direction. So you take your knee to the back of the mat, out to the right, and then down towards the belly. Just warming up the hip socket. When you finish that 3rd one, you're going to reach your leg out behind you as you inhale. And as you exhale, place your foot or your knee on the floor. Inhale, come forward to plank position. Shoulders are over the wrists, knees could be on the floor or lifted up. Lower all the way down to the mat. Untuck your toes, shrug your shoulders back. Inhale, lift the center of your chest. Find a little bit of a cobra pose. Exhale to release. Press back. Come back to table or tuck your toes and come all the way to downward facing dog. We're going to do that same hip circling motion on the left. So pick the place where you feel stable. It's also a little workout for your shoulders. And then lift the left leg up as you inhale. As you exhale, bend the left knee. Maybe you stack it a little bit towards the right. And then drawing that big circle down towards the belly. Up and out to the left. And then back. 3 circles if you can. It's not fancy, but it's very effective. As you complete that 3rd circle, you're going to go the other way. Back to the back of the mat, out to the left, down to the belly. What you're really doing is just rotating your femur in your hip socket. Once you come back, you reach that left leg all the way up. And then place the left foot or the left knee on the floor. If your knees aren't already there, bring them to the mat. Take them a little wider than the hips and pull back to child's pose. That nice deep stretch into the crease of your hips. You could reach your fingertips forward, or you could place your hands underneath your forehead if you like. Let your tailbone grow heavy. And as you're ready, inhale, come on back, table, or downward facing dog. Take a deep full breath wherever you decide to be. And then walk or step your feet towards the front of the mat, coming to dangle. Take your feet a comfortable distance apart for you as you fold forward. Hands could rest on the legs somewhere. Fingertips could come all the way to the floor. Let your head be nice and heavy, maybe even nod yes or shake no. Think about pressing into the outside edges of your feet, so the pinky toe edge of your foot, just a little bit to start to work into your outer hips. And keeping the knees nice and soft. A little bit of pressure now, weight back to the heels of the feet. Inhale, start to roll all the way up. One vertebrae at a time. Hands could walk on the thighs for extra support in the lower back if you like. When you reach standing, roll your shoulders back. And with an inhale, draw your arms up over your head. Exhale, bring your hands in front of your heart. Inhale, lift your arms up over your head. As you exhale, bend your knees, come into your Utkatasana, your chair pose or your fierce pose. You want to be sitting back a little bit into your hips here. Kind of wiggle them back so that when you look down, your knees are closer to being stacked over your ankles than stacked over your toes. So you have quite a bit of weight in the heels of your feet. You're sticking your tush out behind you. Shrug your shoulders back, lift your lower belly, bring your weight to your left foot, peel your right heel away. And to be totally honest, this might feel like plenty. You just hug your left hip into the midline. And maybe you want a little bit more. And on an inhale, see if you can lift that right foot, tap it out a couple inches to the right, and then bring it back in. Tap to the right. Bring it back in. Let's try 3 more if they feel good. You can also just hold the lift of your right heel. Come all the way back in on this one. Place the right foot on the floor. If you need a break, go ahead and stand all the way up. If you can, you sit back into that Utkatasana. You feel that nice warmth in your left glute. And then you bring your weight to your right foot. You lift your left heel. Tucking the left hip in. Or excuse me, tucking the right hip in. The one that you are standing on. And then maybe you want a little more, and you take your left foot out to the side, and you tap it in. Take it to the side, and you tap. Couple more. Sitting into the heel. And then you bring that foot back in. You place it on the floor. Press down through the heels. Inhale, lift all the way up. Exhale, draw your hands to your heart, fold all the way forward. Inhale, find halfway lift, reach the crown of your head forward. As you exhale, plant your hands under your shoulders. You're going to walk or step to the back of the mat, downward dog or table pose. Inhale, come forward to plank position, shoulders over the wrists. Knees could be up or down, your choice. Lower slowly to the floor. Again, come all the way down to the mat. Shrug your shoulders back, press the tops of your feet down, lift into your cobra pose. If you feel ready, you could go a little higher. As you exhale, release. You're going to go back to your child's pose again, pressing your hips back. Take your knees a little wider than the hips. Tailbone heavy towards the floor. Take a nice deep breath here. When you're ready, come back. Table pose. Or tucking your toes, lifting your knees, downward facing dog for a deep breath. As you're ready, walk or step, or you can hop your feet to the front of the mat if you feel quite frisky. Inhale, find halfway lift. As you exhale, soften, bring the weight to the heels of your feet. And as you inhale, see if one smooth breath might roll you all the way up to the sky. As you exhale, bring your hands in front of your heart. Inhale, bring your arms overhead. Exhale, hands to heart as you bend the knees, sit back into your chair. Lift your belly button up and then again, sit back a little bit into your heels. Bring your weight this time to your right foot as you lift your left heel. Keep a little bit of bounce, a little bit of spring in your right knee, because what we're going to try and do is step back. So what you want to do is lift that left foot up. If you need to place your fingertips to the floor, your hands to blocks, don't hesitate, and step the left foot far back behind you, bringing it to the floor. From here, bring your hands down to frame your right foot, bring your left knee to the mat. If you need to wiggle around and adjust, please do. Cushion under the knee if you like. Right knee is right over the right ankle once you get situated. Let your fingertips rest to the floor or your hands to props. Tuck your back toes under here. Squeeze your inner thighs together. As you inhale, lift your right knee away from the floor. As you exhale, give a little kiss down to the mat. Inhale to lift. Exhale to kiss. As you do this, you're trying to move as little as possible up and down in this right hip. So you're just moving the left knee. Feeling some heat start to build. Last one like this. And you're going to keep the back knee lifted. Inhale here, reach the crown of your head forward, push down into your right heel. You can keep your fingertips on the floor, or you can bring your hands to your thigh, or your arms out behind you like airplane wings. Lift your belly button away from your thigh wherever you are and take another deep, full breath. And then release the fingertips to the floor. Begin to straighten the right leg until you feel a stretch. This is a great place if you like to use props to place blocks or water bottles or stacks of books underneath your hands if the floor feels really far away. Just enjoy that little bit of stretch. And then we're going to keep the burn going. Inhale, come forward. Right knee is over the right ankle. Walk your fingertips out in front of you. You might bounce your back foot in a couple of times. Press down into your right heel. See if you can float forward. Lift your left toe. Straighten your right leg a little bit. Maybe a warrior three with the support of your fingertips. Maybe you float. Take a deep breath. And then go ahead and step that left foot far back behind you again. Bring your hands to the floor. Step your right foot back next to your left foot. Feel free to stay here or drop your knees to the floor to table. You can take a rest in child's pose if you like. Or you could take another half vinyasa if you feel like being a little more fiery. Inhaling to plank if you want that. Exhaling to the floor. Picking up cobra, or if you like, upward facing dog or elbows down, sphinx. Exhale to release. Come on back, table or downward facing dog. Once you get to that's table dog, table or downward facing dog, take a deep full breath. And we'll go to the other side. So you'll walk or step your feet up. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale to fold. As you inhale, press into your heels, roll all the way up. We're going to keep flowing. So as you press the palms of your hands together and exhale, come to sit in your imaginary chair. Weight to the heels of the feet. So you're sitting pretty far back behind yourself with your buns. Peel your right heel up. Your weight is on your left foot. You're working for that big step back, kind of little float through warrior three, almost as a little bit of a teaser for later. You reach that right foot back. Far, far behind you. Feel free to have your fingertips on the floor already if you need to. Right foot on the mat. Right knee down. Fingertips are framing the front foot, making sure that your left knee is above your left ankle. Back toes are tucked under. Lift your belly a little bit. On an inhale, lift your back knee. And on your exhale, drop your back knee to the floor. Inhale to lift. Exhale to soften. And again, the goal is to move just in the back leg, so the right leg on this side, and the left hip moves as little as possible. I mean, there's some movement that has to happen because our body is connected, but you're working to mainly utilize that back leg and just start the burn of the hold in the front leg. Last one. You're going to leave that right knee up. Shrug your shoulders back. This might feel like plenty. You might feel lots of heat. You can stay right here. Maybe you lift up a little bit and you bring your hands onto your thigh or your arms out behind you like airplane wings. Lift your belly away from your leg. Press down into your left heel. Deep breath. And then drop your fingertips to the floor. You can start to straighten your left leg. Take a little break. And you just go as far as you need to feel a bit of a stretch at the back of your left thigh. When you're ready, inhale to come forward, front knee over front ankle, and we're going to work towards that little warrior three, so walk your fingertips in front. Little pop perhaps several times with that back foot so you can really place the weight into the left heel. And then as you do that, you rock forward, You lift your right toes and you stretch that right leg out behind you. Maybe your left leg gets a little straight. Maybe you even flow your fingertips, depends how balanced you feel. And it's just like a deep, full breath here. It's not long, just a little tease. And then you step that right foot far back, hands to the floor. Step back, table or downward facing dog. And depending how you feel, you might stay in table or dog, or even rest for a couple breaths in child's pose. Or if you like, you can take your half vinyasa, high or low plank, push up to the floor. Inhale, you take cobra or up dog or sphinx. And then we'll all meet in the next breath or two in table or in downward facing dog. Now one more little bit of fire here, one more little flow to make you feel your hips and your thighs and your buttocks. So as you're ready, step your feet forward to the front of the mat. Inhale, find halfway lift. Exhale to fold. As you inhale, roll yourself all the way to the sky. As you exhale, bring your hands in front of your heart. Inhale, arms overhead. As you exhale, sit back into your imaginary chair, hands at the heart. Lift the center of your chest. You want the weight again to be back in the heels. Weight to the right foot again. Lift the left toes. We're going to do maybe some little taps out to the side this time. Tap to the left and bring the toes in. Tap a couple of little inches to the left. Bring the toes in. Keep hugging that right hip towards the center line. Hopefully you really feel the whole of that right thigh. Maybe one more tap. And then you're going to see if you can lift that left knee. Shoot that left leg back behind you. Feel free to bring your hands to the floor if you need to. Left foot steps far back behind. Fingertips come to frame the right foot. And this time you want to leave your left knee up. Press into the left toes. Lift your hips. Reach your right arm forward as you inhale. As you exhale, twist to your right. Shrug your shoulders back. And again, hug your right hip into the midline. It's like you're squeezing your inner thighs together. If you want a little more, you can even lift your left hip up towards the sky, your back hip. Inhale here. As you exhale, fold towards the floor. We're going one more time to warrior three, and you can do it exactly the same way we did before, walking the fingertips forward, going really supported. Or you can try and go unsupported with the hands maybe at your heart. Rock your weight forward and float. Maybe kind of float like a rather heavy wet feather today, but float up, take a deep breath there. And then fold the left foot in. Place the left foot next to the right foot and let yourself just fold all the way forward. Press again a little bit of an extra weight into the pinky side edges of your feet. Maybe you sway a little bit. Take a nice breath or two here before we move to the other side. When you're ready, a little bit of weight to the heels. Inhale, roll all the way up. Exhale, hands in front of the heart. Inhale, arms come overhead. Exhale, you sit back into that Utkatasana. Lots of weight in the heels of your feet. Lots of drawing of your hips back, lifting of your belly button up and in. When you're ready, you peel your right heel up. And you could stay right here if this feels burny and fiery and hot in your hip. Or you can add on those little taps. Tap to the right and come back in. Tap to the right, come back in. Keep pressing weight into the left heel. Keep hugging the left hip into the midline. One more if you can. And then you can see if you can lift that right leg up. And this might go very smoothly or very not smoothly as you shoot the right leg back behind you. And you set the right toes on the floor. Feel free to use your hands on floor or blocks the entire time. Setting up so the left knee is above the left ankle, right hand plants down, and you twist as you're ready over to the left. You can take your left arm up to the sky. A little scissor, a little draw back of the right, draw back of the left hip, of the front hip. Draw forward of the back hip, of the right hip. It's the same thing as squeezing your inner thighs together. It's just a different way of kind of imagining it. inhale. And then as you exhale, fold forward. Again, you're going to float to warrior three. Fingertips on the floor or hands to heart. Challenging your glutes. Lifting up, straightening out. And it's just like taking one deep full breath here, like you feel that you can fly. And then you're like, man, I don't need to do that anymore. Right foot comes in. Press both feet down as you fold all the way forward. Let go. Nice softness in your knees. Add a little bit of extra pressure to the outside edges of the feet. As you're ready, press into your heels and roll all the way up to the sky. As you exhale, bring your hands in front of your heart. Take a deep, full breath. I hope you feel nice and toasty and warm. We'll move now to the yin portion, the quiet portion of our class. Really working to let go of any tension in our hips. On an inhale, you're going to bring your arms up overhead. And on your exhale, palms of the hands together, fold forward. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, plant your hands down into the walk or step or hop your feet to the back of the mat, come to table or downward facing dog. Inhale, come forward to a plank. Knees up or down, lower yourself all the way to the floor. And once you get all the way to the floor, you might slide your arms a little forward. Very lazy Sphinx pose. We're going to do tree frog pose and start to release our lower back and the insides of our hips. So as you're ready, you're going to take your right knee up and out to the side. And you can practice like a frog with your right foot kind of flexed and far out to the side, or you can practice like a tree with the sole of the right foot towards the left thigh. Anywhere in that spectrum is completely fine. If the inside of your knee feels tender, feel free to place your blanket underneath of it. And then here, you might feel quite fine just to stay and fold forward. If you want a little extra work in the muscles of your back, you could inchworm your torso a little over to your right side, so towards your bent knee, creating a little bit of a crescent shape with your upper body as you lower yourself to the floor. Feel free to use your arms as a cushion for your head. And the kind of work here is to not work, to be as relaxed and chill as possible. So you want to think about this space at the inside of your right hip just melting towards the floor. You want to think about relaxing your buttocks, relaxing your belly. Breath beginning to slow down. You might still feel some residual heat, but if that dissipates and you feel cool, you can always use a blanket over your body or grab a sweater or some socks as we transition poses. Everything from now on moves at a much more relaxed pace. Another nice deep breath here. We'll begin to release from this pose. If you inchwormed your torso over to the right, you're going to take it back to the center. You're going to bring your right leg back behind you. And just go ahead and rest your head forward for a few breaths and notice the difference between right and left. lift up a little bit. You can take that left knee up and out to the side. See where it feels comfortable to practice tree or frog or some hybrid of frog tree or tree frog. If you want to turn your torso or lift your torso up a little bit to the left, get that extra bit of stretch on the right side of your back now. Go ahead and then allow yourself to just, again, melt into this one. To allow your body to learn when it is appropriate to relax. A lot of times when we think that we're relaxing, sitting on the couch, watching television, our bodies are not actually relaxed. They're quite tense or uncomfortable, and we're just not paying attention. So I think it's just as beneficial as, working out is working to notice where your body holds tension when you try to relax. And then working with your body to allow that tension to be let go of. And working with your body to let go of tension might include deepening your breath so that you're filling up with more oxygen. And just a deeper breath can help you relax your muscles and your tissues. It can really help you relax your belly. Working with your body might mean making little adjustments, moving around a little bit so you feel that you can relax in this position. Take another deep breath here. And then you can gently bring the torso back to the center line if you went out to the side. Slide the left leg back. And this time, put your hands under your shoulders. Maybe press yourself back towards a child's pose for a few breaths. Again, feeling the crease of your hips. Let your tailbone again soften towards the back of the mat. So it's just the kind of shape of your body that does the work here. You don't have to strain or pull or torque anything to get the benefit of this kind of work. You get the benefit of this kind of work by allowing yourself to relax into different shapes, different poses. You're going to walk your hands in and you're going to roll yourself up a little bit. We're going to come into a lizard pose next, and you could come from a table or a downward facing dog, or you can just come from kneeling, but you're going to take your right foot forward between your hands. And then it is absolutely 100% individual. Completely your choice of what feels good. For some people, it feels really good to just frame their front foot with their fingertips. They might bring their hands up onto blocks. What you want to feel is the inside creases of your hips as you begin to maybe move forward here. And as you move forward, what I find is my belly and my thigh get stuck together and I can't go any further forward. I just feel kind of squashy. So I like to bring my hands to the inside of my foot as I come forward. I even like to take my right foot a little further right and angle my toes out to the right so I can drop my left hip, my back hip further forward and feel these inner hip creases starting to open up. That might not not feel good at all to your body. You can feel the inner hip creases in a completely different way by taking your hips back and folding forward. And that works with the foot close in or the foot far out. You can kind of adjust and see. What variation in this feels just right to you? Do you feel your groins? I'm calling them hip creases because it sounds more elegant, but it's your groin. Do you feel it? Does it feel stretchy? That's what you want to feel. The other thing you want to feel is that this is sustainable. So if you're here and this feels good in your hips, but your hands are already really tired, we're going to stay here for a little longer, you might grab some props if you happen to have them. It might just be a pillow, it might be a yoga block, might be a stack of books, a shoebox that you can put under your arms. Make this a little easier. You can create this and put that down onto the mat if you need to. You can adjust. Pick a place where you can remember to breathe. Take another breath here, and then lift your hips back up, or walk your hands back in. You're going to take your right foot back, so your right knee is next to your left knee. You might even sit back for a moment into your Caesar pose, or you might stay in your table pose and draw some circles with your hips. Kind of just see what feels like a little bit of a release before we go to the other side. And then when you're ready, you're going to step your left foot forward. And you could do the lizard with your fingertips framing. You could come forward, or you could come backward there. You can do the lizard with your hands on the inside of your foot. You can take your foot out to the side if you want in either position. And you really experiment. The first part of this is just to see, where do you feel your inner hips? Where do you feel your groins getting some stretch? And I know when I said we're going to do a hips class, you thought outer hips, glutes, because that's where we think about being tight. We think about holding tension there. We think about, oh yeah, we're going to do pigeon and we're going to release that. But your inner hips, your groins are just as important. Your hip is a socket that has 360 degrees, and you want to target all of those spaces when you're thinking about stretching and strengthening your hips. It's not just one or the other. See if you can breathe. And remember, the purpose is to be able to relax a little bit here. So even though what we're doing might be relatively intense as a work in your hips and your groins, it shouldn't be so intense that you can't breathe or you can't shove your shoulders back. This is kind of a yin-ish style of yoga. We're not doing full yin yoga where we're targeting just the deeper tissues. We're still targeting the muscles a little bit today. It's not a super long hold, but we're practicing in a yin way, in a way that honors moving more introspectively, more slowly, that honors working with the kind of cooler and darker side of things, the underbelly of things, if you will, to balance out that fire that we did earlier. When you're ready, you're going to lift your hips back or lift your hands up if you went the other direction. And you'll step your left knee back next to your right knee. And again, you could sit back onto your heels. You could sit in child's pose. You could take your table. You could even come to downward facing dog and pedal your feet around. Just see what feels good. Listen to what your body tells you. Now we'll go into what we think of when we think of hip poses. We'll take our pigeon pose. And as you are ready to take your pigeon pose, you're just going to take your right knee behind your right hand. And you can come in from a dog or a table, it doesn't matter. And if this variation feels good, you can always tuck your back toes and slide your left thigh back. bringing the weight of your body forward onto that right leg. And you can stay propped up here today. If that's where you feel some good work, that works again a little more into the inner hip, even as we're working the outer right hip. You could stay here. You could fold forward. You could again use a prop. You could use a prop underneath your right buttock. You could use a prop underneath your hands. Customize. If that does not feel right for your hips or your knees, I recommend going onto your back tonight and crossing your right ankle over the top of your left knee, coming into the supine pigeon. This one is one of my favorites because it gives you so much control when you lie on your back over how much you stretch this outer right hip, but doesn't put any pressure on your knees. If you draw your left knee further in, more stretch. If you let it drift away, a little more gentle. Also experiment with extending the leg. Sometimes I like to straighten it as I pull it in so I get a little stretch at the back of the left leg as well. And again, it's so personal where you need to go to feel the stretch. Your body is totally unique and different from every other body out there. So your yoga is totally unique and different from every other person's yoga out there. Often you hear the term cookie cutter to describe things that are exactly the same. And the way our bodies are cookie cutter, they're relatively the same. Most of us have the same parts. We have a couple of legs, a couple of arms, a almost dozen of fingers and toes. They're pretty similar. But when you look a little closer, just like cookies that have been cut with a cookie cutter, they're so slightly different. The edges of one might be a little more jagged. There might be bumps and dimples that don't appear on the cookie next door. Maybe your cookie was baked a little longer. It's a little more rigid and strong. Your cookie is a little more soft and flexible. The good news is we're all cookies, and all cookies are delicious and magical. I should really eat a snack before class. When you're ready, you're going to go ahead and release from the side. If you're lying like I am on the back, you can just release the left foot to the floor. You bring the soles of both feet to your floor and sway your knees a little bit from side to side, kind of loosening things up. You can also hug your knees into your chest and sway there. If you're still lying facing forwards, what you'll want to do is lift yourself up and step back to your table or your dog. You could wiggle around there. If you're lying on your back, you can simply cross your left ankle over the top of your right knee. If you're facing forward, you step the left knee behind the left hand again. You slide the right leg back. And maybe you stay upright. Maybe you fold forward. See what feels good on this side. It doesn't matter if this side of your cookie is identical to the other side of your cookie. It's like maybe you have one of those cookies that has two different kinds of frosting on each side, like a black and a white cookie. One side has vanilla and one side has chocolate. And again, folding forward. Maybe it isn't quite right today. A little pressure on the knees, or it just doesn't feel good in the hips. You can try your props if you want, or you can join me and come onto your back, crossing your left ankle over the top of your right knee. Maybe drawing your right knee in. And experiment. What feels really beneficial, really good in your left outer hip, your glutes? I can certainly feel my IT band attachment all the way down, attachment muscles rather, all the way down on the outside of my left thigh. yourself to find that place here that's relaxing. A place where you can breathe deeply. You can start to feel your jaw softening and your forehead growing smooth. As you're ready, you can start to release from the side. And again, depending on where you are, you could take the knee side to side from your back if that feels good. You could come to your table or your dog if you're facing forward. Just wiggle things out. And when you're ready, you're going to make your way to a seated position. I'm going to turn so I'm facing you, and you have a couple of different options here. You could take a Baddha Konasana, that's the soles of your feet together. And you want to sit in this one with your feet at least far enough away that you can sit up straight and tall. You're welcome to prop underneath your knees. And as you fold forward, that might feel really nice in your inner thighs, your low back, your hips. You can see, okay, does that feel good? Or you could go a little bit differently. You could take an Upavista, taking the legs really wide and fold forward from here. And we're working to target a little more the inner thighs here. So if you feel some inner thigh work, that's probably where you want to stay. You may, however, feel outer hip work and low back work as you fold forward. So know that those things are okay as well. Again, feel free to use a prop. You can place your forearms on your blanket. You can use your bolster or pillow to help you fold forward. If you have the soles of the feet together, you can stack things on top as you fold. Don't hesitate to accessorize your pose. So you feel the work, you feel the stretch, you feel the action, but you also feel a little bit relaxed, a little bit easy. You're in a place where you can start to contemplate things like, well, that's interesting. My right thigh is so much tighter than my left thigh. Or what would happen if I flexed my toes up? Where do I feel that? I pointed my toes. What happens then? It's not the faster paced firing movement of the yang part of the practice where you flow through things and what you feel building is heat. Here, what we feel building is introspection. The longer we stay here, the more we notice about what is happening here. And the more in depth we can go, we can sort of, start to nitpick things a little bit. Take another few breaths here, being so aware of what is happening in your inner thighs, the back of your thighs, your hamstrings, your hips, your outer hips, your lower back. As you are ready, walk the fingertips in. Roll the shoulder blades back. If you have your legs out, you're going to draw them in. If you have your legs in, you're going to open them up. Place the soles of your feet on the floor. And then maybe you like to bring your hands a little bit behind you. You can lean a little back. And again, you can take some windshield wipers here. And go ahead and stretch your legs out in front of you. Give your legs a little wiggle, a little shake. That feels nice. And we're going to come down to the floor here and take a twist. So you can move your props out of the way. Sit in the center of your mat. Roll yourself all the way down to the floor. As you arrive on the floor, you can take any variation of supine twist that feels good. You could take your feet wide and let your knees rock over to the right. If that feels good, you can take your right ankle on top of your left knee. This gives a nice little stretch to the quadriceps and the hip flexors, the inside of the leg again, the top of the leg. Maybe you prefer a little bit more work into your lower back and you hug your knees a little more towards your chest as you take this stretch and you stack your knees one on top of each other. Maybe you like one leg long and one leg bent. Experiment. What feels really good? That's honestly all that matters right now. Does it feel really good? As you're ready, you can move your twist over to the other side. Again, any variation of the twist that feels good. And just like our pigeon pose, or really any pose, again, it doesn't have to be identical side to side. Your cookie can be a little different from right to left. When you're ready, bring the knees back to the center line. Now you go ahead and hug both of your knees, if you haven't already, in towards your chest. Turn the soles of your feet towards the ceiling. You can fold your feet, your calves, your ankles, or your thighs as you draw your knees towards your armpits for happy baby. Maybe rock a little bit side to side here. You could kick with one or the other legs as you move. You could open the legs and close them. Just like a happy baby, any movements that make you happy, make your body happy, go here. We'll move our way towards Shavasana now. As usual, you can Shavasana in any way that feels good. I have a couple of suggestions just based on what we've been doing. Option number one would be to lie on your back with a prop of some kind, a rolled up blanket, a pillow, or a bolster, just underneath your knees. And that might feel really nice. I like to let my knees kind of open up a little bit, but the soles of my feet are closest together like a frog pose. That could feel really good. You could try that. You could also try lying with your legs up a wall. If you have a wall close to you and it's easily accessible, you can sit sideways against the wall. You can sit up onto a pillow or a bolster or a blanket if you like extra cushion or your tailbone is just tender. And then as you're close to that wall, your shoulder should be a couple inches away. You lean back and you flip your feet up against the wall. Oops. And you lie yourself back. And sometimes it looks a little more elegant than others when you come in. As you have your legs up the wall, the angle is up to you. If you choose that option, if you have that option tonight. This is really nice if your legs felt very fatigued at any point today or during class. Helps drain and reverse some blood flow and some lymph flow. So you could take that option. You could also just simply lie on your back or on your belly and relax. Allow yourself to find the place that works best for your body. Remember that Shavasana is corpse pose. It is the ultimate in relaxation. And whether you lie on your back in that kind of typical pose or you come somewhere else, what is more important than the shape is that you are relaxing so deeply that you become as still as a corpse. Let your breathing slow down. Let your muscles release. This place of ultimate yin, ultimate quiet, dark, peace. As usual, I encourage you to stay if you have the time. Enjoy this peaceful place as long as you have the option to do so. If it is time to move forward with the rest of your day, take a deep breath in. Big sigh out. Wiggle your fingers and your toes. And as you're ready, roll yourself all the way over to one side to rest for a few breaths. Before making your way to your most comfortable seated position. As you arrive there, let your hands come in front of your heart. And close as usual with our deep breath together. In through nose, out through mouth. On 3. 1, 2, 3. Namaste. Thank you so much for sharing your practice and your time with me. Have a wonderful rest of your day.